Part 1. The Council's Ultimatum. In the year 2385, humanity had become a burgeoning power in the galaxy, expanding its reach across the stars with a network of colonies and trade routes that stretched from the outskirts of the Orion Arm to the distant reaches of the Andromeda Spiral. The United Terran Federation, a coalition of Earth and its colonies, had forged alliances with several alien species, navigating the complex web of interstellar politics with a deftness that surprised many. However, with power came scrutiny, and soon, the Galactic Council, a conglomerate of the most influential alien races, began to take notice. The Council convened on the vibrant planet of Eloria, a jewel of a world known for its bioluminescent forests and swirling turquoise seas. Representatives from countless species gathered in the Grand Hall, a colossal structure of crystal and steel, shimmering under the light of Eloria's twin suns. As the meeting commenced, the mood was tense. The air crackled with the anticipation of the Council's decree. Supreme Chancellor Vexel, a towering figure of the fierce Draconis species, presided over the assembly. His deep, rumbling voice commanded the room. "We have watched the expansion of humanity with cautious interest. Your technological advancements and military might pose a challenge to the delicate balance of power within the Council. Therefore, it is with great deliberation that we present our demands." The demand was simple yet profoundly threatening: a tribute, a percentage of humanity's resources, technology, and military prowess, would be required to maintain peace and order in the galaxy. Failure to comply would result in punitive actions, potentially igniting a war that humanity could not afford. Ambassador Sarah Lawson, representing the United Terran Federation, stood resolute. "We will not bow to extortion. Humanity has earned its place among the stars through our own efforts and sacrifices. We will not pay tribute to an unelected body that seeks to diminish our sovereignty." Murmurs rippled through the assembly, a mix of outrage and admiration for the boldness of her statement. Chancellor Vexel's eyes narrowed, a flicker of irritation crossing his features. "You misunderstand, Ambassador. This is not a negotiation, it is a decree. Comply, or face the consequences." Part 2. The Gathering Storm. As the Council's ultimatum echoed through the galaxy, humanity braced for the storm ahead. The Federation convened an emergency session, gathering military and political leaders from across its territories. The tension was palpable. Debates erupted, voices clashed, and opinions divided. Some advocated for submission, believing that cooperation would yield greater benefits in the long run, while others called for an immediate show of force. Admiral John Reyes, a decorated veteran of the Terran Navy, stood before the assembly, his presence commanding attention. "The Council underestimates us. We've faced adversity before and prevailed. We will send a fleet, a demonstration of our strength. They need to understand that humanity will not be subjugated." The room erupted in applause, rallying behind the Admiral's passionate speech. It was decided: a fleet of battleships, the most advanced ever constructed, would be dispatched to the Council's homeworld. This display of military might would serve both as a declaration of independence and a warning against further aggression. Weeks passed as the fleet was assembled. The flagship, USS Resolute, gleamed like a silver arrow in the void of space, equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry and cloaking technology. Aboard were thousands of the finest crew members, including scientists, engineers, and soldiers, all united under a singular purpose: to protect humanity's right to exist freely among the stars. As the fleet departed Earth's orbit, Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing at the stars. He felt the weight of history on his shoulders. This moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. "Set course for Eloria. Engage at maximum warp." The fleet surged forward, traversing the vastness of space. Meanwhile, the Council, unaware of the impending confrontation, continued its deliberations, blissfully ignorant of the storm brewing just beyond their reach. Part 3. The Gathering Darkness. Arriving at Eloria, the fleet entered orbit, a majestic array of battleships cutting through the silence of space. As they approached the planet, sensors detected an array of Council ships already mobilizing. A wide assortment of alien vessels, some sleek and deadly, others bulky and armored, hovered like a swarm, ready to respond to the audacious challenge presented by humanity. Admiral Reyes prepared for a broadcast, his voice steady as he addressed the Council. "This is Admiral John Reyes of the United Terran Federation. We have come not to wage war, but to defend our sovereignty. We refuse to pay tribute to an organization that would seek to diminish our existence. We offer you one chance to negotiate." The Council's response was swift. Vexel's voice rang out, cold and commanding. "You are outnumbered and outgunned, Admiral. This display is futile. Stand down, or we will have no choice but to eliminate the threat you pose." Reyes felt the tension rise within him. "We will not be intimidated. Prepare to engage." The order was given, and the crew of the Resolute moved into action. Weapons powered up, shields raised, the battleships formed a tight formation, ready for whatever the Council might unleash. As the countdown to engagement began, a sudden surge of energy rippled through space. In the distance, a colossal figure emerged from the darkness, a massive warship, its hull adorned with ominous markings of an ancient and powerful species that had once dominated the galaxy. It was a vessel long thought lost, a remnant of a bygone era. The Council had summoned it, a desperate measure to assert their dominance. Part 4: The Unseen Enemy. "Admiral! Incoming signals!" a tactical officer shouted from the control panel. Screens flared to life, displaying an array of tactical data and an array of enemy ships regrouping for an assault. But it was the monstrous warship that drew all eyes, its size dwarfing even the Resolute. "What is that?" Reyes asked, his heart racing. "The dreadnought Nexithor," the officer replied, voice trembling. "It's said to be a weapon of unimaginable power. If they unleash it, we may not stand a chance." Reyes clenched his jaw. The Nexithor was a relic, an ancient titan rumored to have the capability of annihilating entire fleets with a single blast. The Council's desperate gamble to intimidate humanity was clear. They were willing to risk everything to maintain control. "Prepare for battle stations," Reyes commanded, adrenaline surging. "All ships follow my lead. We cannot back down now." As the Resolute and the accompanying fleet maneuvered into formation, the Nexithor powered up, an ominous hum echoing through space. Bright, pulsing energy began to coalesce in its core, a visual representation of the terrifying power it wielded. "Admiral! They are firing!" The cry rang out just as the Nexithor unleashed a blinding beam of energy toward the fleet. Part 5: The Clash of Titans. Time slowed as the beam hurtled through space, a spear of doom aimed directly at the Resolute. Reyes knew they had mere seconds to respond. "Activate the energy shields! Full power!" The crew worked in unison, their training kicking in as they braced for impact. The ship's shields flared, absorbing the brunt of the attack, but the force was staggering. The Resolute shuddered violently, alarms blaring as the energy drained from the power grid. "Return fire! Target the Nexithor's power core!" Reyes shouted, determination burning in his eyes. Torpedoes were launched, streaking across the void, striking the Nexithor in a brilliant explosion of light. But the ancient ship absorbed the damage with uncanny resilience, its defenses holding strong. As chaos erupted around them, battleships engaged in dogfights, firing energy beams and missiles, twisting and turning in a deadly ballet. Reyes fought to maintain control amidst the turmoil, aware that every decision could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. "Admiral! Reinforcements are arriving from the Council," an officer warned, pointing to the incoming ships on the radar. "Reinforcements?" Reyes muttered, realizing the situation was rapidly deteriorating. The Council was desperate. They were pulling out all the stops to crush this rebellion. Just as the odds began to feel insurmountable, a sudden transmission interrupted the chaos. "Admiral Reyes, this is Commander Alara of the Alliance fleet. We've come to assist." The sight of Allied ships emerging from the shadows brought a surge of hope, but Reyes knew that even with reinforcements, the battle was far from over. Part 6: The Turning Tide. The Alliance fleet, composed of various allied species, engaged the Council forces with ferocity, turning the tide of the battle. Ships of all designs and colors fought alongside humanity, a unified front against the oppressive demand for tribute. Together, we stand. Commander Alara's voice rang through the comms, rallying the fleet. For freedom! As the Nexathor engaged in combat with the combined forces, Admiral Reyes saw a window of opportunity. Focus fire on the Nexathor! If we can disable it, we might turn this battle in our favor. Torpedoes and energy blasts rained down on the ancient warship, shaking its hull as shields flickered. A critical hit struck near the power core, and Reyes watched with bated breath as alarms blared throughout the ship. We've done it! Its shields are weakening, one of the officers exclaimed. But just as victory seemed within reach, the Nexathor retaliated, a massive pulse of energy blasting from its core, engulfing the battlefield in a blinding flash. Ships were flung like toys, debris scattered through the cosmos. Part 7, A Desperate Gamble. Admiral! We're losing ships! Alara's voice crackled through the comms, urgency thick in the air. Reyes gritted his teeth, weighing his options. They needed a plan, something bold to take down the Nexathor once and for all. Commander Alara, can your fleet draw its fire? Consider it done! As the Alliance fleet spread out, drawing the Nexathor's attention, Reyes formulated a daring strategy. We'll get close enough to deploy our boarding teams. If we can infiltrate the ship, we might be able to disable it from the inside. With a wave of determination, Reyes ordered his crew. Prepare the boarding pods. We'll take the fight directly to them. As they launched toward the dreadnought, the Resolute rumbled under fire. The boarding pods rocketed away, carrying elite soldiers ready to face the unknown within the ancient ship. Part 8, Inside the Behemoth. The boarding pods penetrated the Nexathor's hull, breaching its defenses with explosive precision. Soldiers poured into the dimly lit corridors, their weapons drawn and nerves steeled. The interior of the Nexathor was a labyrinth of technology and ancient architecture, a reminder of its long-lost creators. Stay sharp. We don't know what we're up against. Reyes barked as they moved deeper into the ship. The halls echoed with the sounds of battle, the cries of both friend and foe reverberating through the metal. As they advanced, they encountered automated defenses and alien soldiers, their forms grotesque and otherworldly. They fought fiercely, each step bringing them closer to the heart of the dreadnought. Reyes could feel the tension rising. Time was running out. The Resolute was vulnerable, and every moment they delayed could cost lives. Part 9, The Heart of the Dreadnought. Finally, they reached the core chamber, an expansive space filled with pulsating energy and ancient control consoles. At its center stood the heart of the Nexathor, a swirling vortex of energy, thrumming with power. Cover me! Reyes shouted as he approached the core, determined to disable it before the Council could unleash its full wrath. Just as he reached the console, the ground shook violently, and a chilling voice echoed through the chamber, a remnant of the ship's ancient AI. Intruders detected. Initiating self-defense protocols. Admiral! We need to move! One of his soldiers yelled, but Reyes was already at work, frantically typing commands into the interface. Alarms blared, and a wall of energy surged toward him. He reached for the override switch, feeling the heat of the power core intensifying. Just as he pressed the button, a blinding flash consumed the chamber. Part 10, A New Dawn. As the light faded, Reyes found himself suspended in darkness, the world around him spinning out of control. He could hear the echoes of battle, the cries of his crew, and the distant rumble of the Nexathor under siege. He awakened moments later, disoriented but alive. The chamber was in chaos, with debris scattered and energy surging uncontrollably. The core was destabilizing. We have to get out of here, a soldier urged, but Reyes steadied himself, heart pounding. He had to finish what he started. Get to the core controls. We can channel the energy. He barked orders, determination fueling his every move. As they worked frantically, the Nexathor trembled, the ship itself screaming as it faced its impending doom. Reyes felt a surge of power coursing through him, a connection to the ancient technology that resonated within the walls. But just as they initiated the overload sequence, A piercing alarm cut through the noise, and a holographic figure materialized, a spectral projection of the dreadnought's long-dead captain. "Foolish humans! You do not understand what you are tampering with. This power belongs to the ancients." The figure's voice echoed with both wrath and despair. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, and Reyes realized the core was collapsing, but so was their chance at victory. "We have to harness it. It's our only chance." Part 11, The Final Stand. As they fought to stabilize the core, the Nexathor was rocked by explosions, energy beams from the Federation and Alliance fleets slamming into it from the outside. Reyes felt time slipping away. "Admiral! We can't hold this for much longer!" a soldier shouted, panic rising in his voice. "Just a little longer!" Reyes gritted his teeth, pushing the controls as he felt the energy surge at his command. He glimpsed a way to channel the energy back at the Council ships, a last-ditch effort to turn the tide. The ships shook violently, but Reyes steeled himself, focusing on the controls. "We can do this! We can end this war!" As they activated the final sequence, a blinding light enveloped the core, cascading outwards. Reyes felt the energy pull him, the world around him becoming a whirlwind of colors. Just as they initiated the final blast, the Nexathor erupted in a cataclysm of energy, a brilliant explosion that rippled through space. Reyes closed his eyes, surrendering to the immense force. And then silence. When Reyes opened his eyes again, he found himself on the bridge of the Resolute, surrounded by his crew, yet the stars outside had shifted. The Council fleet lay in ruin, but they weren't alone. Before them loomed a massive, unfamiliar structure, a colossal gateway pulsing with ancient energy, throbbing as if alive. Reyes felt an unsettling chill run down his spine. The Council was not finished. Something beyond their understanding awaited them on the other side of this portal. "Admiral!" a voice broke through the silence. "What do we do now?" Reyes took a deep breath, steeling himself for the unknown. "We prepare for what comes next. Whatever lies ahead, we will face it together." As they prepared for their next move, the gateway pulsed ominously, and a shadowy figure emerged, towering above them, whispering promises of power and retribution. Part 13, The Emergence. The bridge of the USS Resolute hummed with tension as the crew stared wide-eyed at the colossal gateway before them. A dark figure emerged, shrouded in shadow and mystery, its presence a chilling reminder of the ancient powers that had once roamed the galaxy. "Admiral, sensors are picking up unprecedented energy readings," the tactical officer warned, hands flying over the controls. "This entity, whatever it is, exceeds anything we've encountered." The figure stepped forward, its form coalescing into a more recognizable shape, a humanoid silhouette adorned with intricate armor that shimmered with the energy of the stars. "I am Zeldar, the Guardian of the Nexus," it intoned, voice resonating with authority and ancient knowledge. "You have awakened the slumbering powers of the galaxy, and now you stand at the precipice of a new era." Reyes clenched his fists, recalling the Council's threats and the destruction that had transpired. "We've come to defend our sovereignty. We will not be controlled by you or anyone else." Zeldar tilted its head, a curious glimmer in its eyes. "Sovereignty? You cling to such concepts, yet you wield powers beyond your comprehension. The Council sought to suppress you, fearing your potential. But you have proven your strength today. Will you join the fight against those who would seek to extinguish your flame?" The air crackled with energy as Reyes considered the offer. They were at a crossroads. An alliance with this ancient power could tip the balance in their favor. But it also posed risks. What price would they pay for such strength? "Why should we trust you?" Reyes replied, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. "Because the Council has awakened forces they cannot control," Zeldar answered, stepping closer, revealing glimpses of its immense power. "And I can guide you through the Nexus, to harness that power, to forge a new path for your kind, if you dare to embrace it." Part 14, A Choice Made. The crew exchanged glances, each of them feeling the gravity of the moment. The fate of humanity, and potentially the galaxy, hung in the balance. Reyes felt a surge of hope and fear simultaneously. Commander Alara, what do you think? Reyes asked, turning to the Alliance leader, who had been quietly observing. Alara stepped forward, her expression fierce. We've already fought for our freedom, Admiral. We cannot turn back now. If there's a way to confront the Council and protect our future, we must take it. Reyes nodded, heart racing. Then we accept your offer, Zeldar. Show us the way. A flicker of approval danced in the Guardian's eyes. Very well. Prepare your minds and hearts for the journey through the Nexus. You will face trials that will test your resolve. Only those who emerge can wield the power of the Ancients. As the gateway pulsated, the crew of the Resolute gathered around Reyes, their determination palpable. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, feeling the energy thrumming beneath his feet. Together, Reyes said, we will face whatever lies ahead. Part 15. The Nexus awaits. As the crew formed a circle, Zeldar extended its arms toward the gateway. Energy swirled around them, enveloping them in a cocoon of light. Reyes felt himself pulled into the fabric of the Nexus, the stars bending and shifting around him. Suddenly, they were thrust into a realm beyond comprehension, a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, pulsating energies swirling like cosmic storms. Echoes of ancient voices reverberated through their minds, urging them forward. Stay focused, Reyes commanded, determination guiding his steps. We're in this together. They moved through the Nexus, facing visions that tested their fears, memories of their pasts twisting and turning like shadows. Each trial revealed their strengths and weaknesses, forging their bond stronger with every challenge they overcame. At last, they reached a chamber bathed in brilliant light. A massive artifact stood at its center, a crystalline structure resonating with the energy of the universe. Reyes approached it, feeling its power calling to him. Claim it, and you will be worthy. Zeldar's voice echoed, a whisper in the storm. But beware, the Council will not stand idly by as you gain this strength. Reyes reached out, fingertips brushing the crystal's surface. A surge of knowledge and power flowed through him, igniting every cell in his being. Visions of the galaxy flashed before him, the Council's armies, the struggles of his people, the threats looming on the horizon. Part 16. The Coming Storm. With the power of the Nexus coursing through him, Reyes turned to his crew, their faces illuminated by the artifact's glow. We must prepare for what comes next. The Council won't just accept our rise, they will retaliate. Alara stepped forward, determination in her eyes. Then we unite our forces. We have the strength of the Nexus, and together we will forge a new future. Suddenly, alarms blared from the Resolute. The bridge lit up with frantic energy. Sensors indicated multiple Council ships converging on their location. Admiral! The Council has detected our presence, the tactical officer shouted. They're mobilizing! Reyes felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, but this time, he stood not alone. With the strength of the Nexus and the resolve of his allies, he faced the coming storm head-on. Ready the fleet! Reyes commanded, adrenaline surging. We will show them that humanity is not to be trifled with. They thought they could extinguish our flame, but we will rise brighter than ever. As the Resolute and the Alliance ships prepared for battle, Reyes gazed out at the approaching Council fleet, determination burning in his chest. Let them come, he whispered, a fierce smile crossing his lips. We are humanity. We are the flame that will not be snuffed out. Part 17. The War for the Stars begins. The gateway behind them flickered ominously, the echoes of the Nexus a constant reminder of their newfound power. Reyes steeled himself for the confrontation ahead, knowing that this was only the beginning. As the Council ships entered firing range, a resounding roar echoed from the fleet. Reyes turned to his crew, their faces lit with resolve. Onward to victory! With the power of the Nexus surging within them, the Resolute and its allies launched into the fray, a unified front against the encroaching darkness. The battle for their future had begun, and this time, humanity would not be on the back foot. And somewhere in the shadows, the Council's leaders watched, their expressions a mix of fear and fury. They had underestimated humanity once before. They would not make the same mistake again.